With the year winding down, it's time for my top 5 lists. Today's list is going to be the top 5 expansions for 2018. So let's qualify game expansions a little bit. What I'm talking about here are supplements that add on new features and add-ons to games to either expand the amount of content you have available, give you new ways to play, or generally just add on to your game experience. So let's take a look at number 5. In the 5th spot, we've got the Night's Watch starter set for A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, this game, of course, came out with initially 2 factions, these Starks Lannisters, with a 3rd pseudo faction, which was the neutrals, kind of House Bolton, in the middle. And what Kumani or Not has done in adding new factions is, instead of just adding box sets one at a time, they've added complete new starter sets for the new faction as it rolls out. And this is planned to continue into 2019 with the Free Folk. This is a great way of expanding the game as opposed to, I guess, relying on the core starter set for all the tokens, measuring gauges, rulebooks, other sort of accessories to have happen. You've got themed versions of that in a box with a single army ready for a single person to pick up and play. This is a great, I think, example for other game companies on how to create a box that passes the Christmas morning test, where you open it up, you have everything you need ready to go, and you can sit down and play a game with your friends who also have an army in about 5 minutes. Literally, if you buy one of the starter sets that are like released now, these single player starter sets, you can be ready to play in sort of like 10 to 15 minutes. You just got to open the box. How fast can you punch out cardboard tokens, basically, is it. So that's my number 5. Let's look at number 4. The number 4 spot, we've got Malign Portents for Warhammer Age of Sigmar by Games Workshop. This was a wonderful way to introduce a new edition and have some sort of large thematic changes happen in the game. It introduced some new characters, some very cool, unique characters in the form of the Dark Oath War Queen. You had the Lord Ordinator for the Stormcast. You had the Fungoid Shaman for Destruction. Of course, you had the Knight of Shrouds for the Night Haunts, who weren't even really a faction at that point. So it was a really cool way to tease some new stuff, add the story, move the story forward with the awakening of Nagash, and having him do his big, like, crazy spell that started to create a disturbance in the flow of souls as he got jealous of Sigmar for diverting so many souls to his Stormcasts and just constantly reforging them, keeping them away from him. And it was just a really cool narrative way of introducing what was going to be a new edition that came out in the summer for 2nd edition Age of Sigmar. So lots of fun, a really well done worldwide campaign as well, with results being posted, lots of theme scenarios going up too, and great community engagement from the company. So good job for Malign Portents. Let's take a look at number 3. In the number 3 position, we've got Forbidden Powers for Dracula's America from Osprey Games. This is one of my favorite expansions of the year. It introduced sort of Cthulhuid menaces in the bayous and swamps of the South to Dracula's America. Now, if you haven't played Dracula's America, it's a fantastic sort of cowboy, Revolutionary War, turn of the century. Lincoln's been assassinated by Dracula, he takes over the country. A miniature war game from Osprey. And Forbidden Powers adds in the Necronomicon, Cthulhu cults, and a 8-mission narrative that you get to play through as well, as your posses basically investigate some evil cult activity right through to confronting some eldritch horrors. So really well done. The first expansion for the game added sort of like ghosts and like ethereal plane stuff. This one was very tightly focused on sort of that eldritch Lovecraftian horror, and was really well done. It also allowed you to have sort of a more like mystic focused, sort of like themed to your warbands too, with your investigation of the evil disturbances. So wonderful book, beautifully illustrated, lots of great painting from Kev Dalmore, and the North Star model line for Dracula's America in it, and I highly recommend picking it up. Let's take a look at number 2. In the number 2 position, we've got Eden Burnout from Happy Games Factory for Eden, the game. This was a narrative expansion where you got to sort of manage a roster of post-apocalyptic heroes in Eden, taking it a bit further away, or I guess a step away, from being a more competitive game, which was focused on sort of a competitive play aspect, to giving it more of a story-driven format, where you didn't worry so much about the overall, each individual mission, as much as you did sort of whether or not your heroes survived and how they did throughout the course of multiple missions, just sort of driving forward a story. They can gain improvements, you can deal with enhancements for them, and it took the game in a direction that I really liked, because it added sort of like a more campaign campaign flavor to it. It also came with some beautiful illustrated cardstock terrain and some wonderful game tiles, very much in the same theme as Necromunda did with the Necromunda Underhut box set. So really well done. You can basically play with any single starter set box set and the Burnout expansion, and you've got your table like there ready to go along with the rules and all the cards and stuff to play a wonderful post-apocalyptic campaign game. Let's take a look at number 1. So the number 1 spot for me this year was Infinity Third Offensive, which was the, I guess, fourth? We had third, I guess this is the 3rd expansion book. There was Human Sphere in 3, then Uprising, and now we've had the Third Offensive book for Infinity End 3. And what's fantastic about this book is not only does it add new models, new factions to the game, it's also taken a chance to basically look at old stuff and sort of update it to be more in line with the current meta. A really great mix of stuff for new and old players, wonderfully illustrated and also advancing the storyline a little bit. And my absolute favorite thing about it, it codifies a lot of what happened with player involvement in their online campaigns. One of the things that Corvus Belli has been really good at doing is sort of including its player base, not just in how they look at the rules and the interactions of the rules and stuff like that, the more meta parts of their games, but especially in the storyline. And their online campaigns are a wonderful sort of like example of getting players involved in telling a story, and there's even some call outs to some of the players that played in the campaign, their call signs and handles in the actual rulebook. So probably my favorite book of the year, mostly because it doesn't just sort of celebrate a new story in Infinity, it also includes player involvement and rewards the players for being involved, kind of gives them a big thank you and codifies their experiences. So if you're a miniature wargaming company out there and you're looking at, I would say, a great sort of like note to hit to ring in your expansion books, if there is a way for you to include the players and kind of reward them for their involvement, Corvus Belli's done a great job doing that this year, and I hope they continue to do so, and I hope I see more companies doing it too. So there it is, my top 5 expansions for 2018. Tune in tomorrow for another list. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.